Welcome, everyone. Today I'm speaking to you from Nairobi, Kenya, and it is a pleasure to be with fellow Sunday Wisdom Sessions class members, Smitha and Paresh, who are hosting us. We're at their home. And in this beautiful setting, we have the opportunity to study a very relevant quality, not just for the spiritual path, for any path, for the pursuit of any goal. And the topic has been described as having faith. That is the literal translation. But if we go to the Sanskrit word is Shraddha. And the quality is Sraddhadhanah. Sraddhadhanah is having. So dana is to have. Shraddha means faith. So it means having faith, or one who is endowed, who's endued with this quality of faith. This is the literal translation. But in Sanskrit, there are many words where either they have a whole page of different definitions for that particular word. One of the words is dharma, atman. The word that we're studying here, Shraddha, means more than faith. So when we talk about faith, and I put it to the group, what is our understanding of faith? What is faith?
Devotion.
Devotion, okay.
Belief.
A belief, yes.
Blind trust.
Blind trust. It often has that association that it's a blind trust, it's a belief. Yes, Paresh?
Conviction.
Conviction, okay. So we look at these different aspects. Shraddha means more than all of these combined. Because yes, it means faith. And faith has an aspect that pertains to the mind. There's a belief aspect. There is also this certainty. There's an emotional aspect to it. So Shraddha has the emotional quality of belief. The mind believes. It is the intellect that knows. But it also has a certainty where the belief is so strong, it's as if it knows. There are two great thinkers who describe faith. And we'll start with the Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore, who talks about this feeling, but a feeling that's so close to certainty. And Rabindranath Tagore describes it as, faith is a bird that feels the light and sings while the dawn is still dark. So for that bird, it cannot yet see any sign of sunrise. It's still dark, and yet it sings with that knowing that sunrise must come. How does it know? It does not know, but it believes, and that belief is so strong, it's as good as knowing. And so this is what we take from Rabindranath Tagore. It's that feeling of certainty. And that feeling of certainty can be a blind belief, yes. But when it's a blind belief, it's very easy to upset that faith. You present it with some data, you present it with a different context, and a person's faith could be shaken. But a faith could also be based on experience, on corroboratory evidence, on, yes, I don't know, but all signs infer that it must be true. So it could be a faith based on knowledge as well. And that's the faith that Vedanta is about, in the sense, the theme of Vedanta, besides developing the intellect, which we talk about in almost every session, developing our clarity of thinking, is that our ultimate purpose here is to realize the self within, to realize the Godhood within, to find God. But the self, God, is unknown to us at the moment. Yes, it may be there. Yes, it may be the reason why every aspect of our personality functions, but at the moment, we are not cognizant of it. We don't know it. So the pursuit of Vedanta knowledge, the pursuit of trying to find the self within starts with faith. No doubt there is some reasoning, there's some corroboratory evidence. We talk about that there must be something beyond the body, mind, intellect that we, even ourselves, refer to. We say, my body, my mind, my intellect. If the body, mind, and intellect are possessions belonging to you, then who is the ultimate possessor? It has to be something other than your body, other than your mind, other than your intellect. What is that other? In mathematics, we say, let that unknown be X. Another term for God is X. It's just unknown. We don't know it. But we are not content with that. We are pursuing it to know it, to become it. But let us be realistic. This path begins with a leap of faith. Why? Because as much as a person can tell you with much gusto, can present an Upanishad with great structure, reason, and logic, you do not know it until you become it. It is a state of experience. It is a becoming. You can't perceive it with the body, you can't feel it with the mind, you can't know it with the intellect. You have to become it. And therefore, until that unknown becomes known, until it becomes something that we experience, we become, faith must be there. But moving on to the Shraddha aspect, we quote another mystic, Joel Goldsmith, and he says, faith is a belief. Belief comes from the mind, yes. Is a belief in a thing I do not know until I come to know what I believe in. Faith is a belief in a thing I do not know until I come to know what I believe in. So why do you need faith? Anyone?
It's a push, it's a motivator.
It's a push, it's a motivator.
Purpose?
Sorry, can you repeat?
To find your purpose.
Do you find your purpose?
To understand one's beliefs.
To understand one's beliefs, okay. The whole idea is,
Path.
keeps you on the path. The whole idea is, it is not known. So you need the belief, you need the faith for the journey from unknown to known. And this is where Joel Goldsmith brings in another aspect of Shraddha, is that yes, it starts with the belief, but if you leave it at belief, this is not Shraddha. Yes, it could be faith, but Shraddha is a belief which you take initially, and the effort that you put in to make that unknown known. Only when you reach it, only when you become it, only when you achieve it, that faith becomes a knowing, a certainty. And that journey from unknown to known is the spiritual path. But not just the spiritual path. It is the achievement of any unknown aspect that you aspire for. For any goal that you have not yet reached, it symbolizes the conception, the continuation, and the completion of the path. The 3 C's. Usually when we talk about the 3 C's, we say there are 3 C's to success. Concentration, consistency, cooperation. Now we bring in a different set of 3 C's. The 3 C's of Shraddha, of true faith. It begins with conception. Have you conceived the goal that you are working for? Have you conceived the life that you want? Conception. It starts with that. You don't know it, you're not living it yet, you haven't realized it. Okay, conception. Is it clear? If it's not clear, we may need more knowledge to develop a conception of it. Having set the goal, having set the direction, then comes the next aspect, which is the essence of Shraddha, is the continuation. The continuation right from conception up to completion. So if you want to judge the quality of a person's Shraddha, it is that consistency of purpose. To take the goal that you set and to strive and struggle every day until you reach the goal you set out to. Completion. It is taking information. It could be on nutrition, it could be on fitness, exercise. You hear something. It could be about stretching before you go into a run or you start weightlifting. One is knowing it. So you set a goal that this is something that I need to put into my routine, but that consistency in which you remind yourself and then get to a point where that objective information becomes subjective transformation. Means it's not just information that you've heard from Instagram or from outside or from a podcast. It is something that you know, is something that you do. It's become a part of you. And that path from information outside to transformation inside, that is Shraddha. Now let us look at the different pursuits that we've taken up in life. How many have we left undone? The New Year resolutions, books that we thought we'd start but never finished, a particular project. How many of these things? It could be a degree, a course, an education. What stopped us from completing it? When we look at it, it's not that we need to complete everything. There could be situations where we start something and we realize that this was a mistake. So the problem in the thinking was in the conception. We started off something that we shouldn't have. We realized as we started, this is a mistake and nothing wrong with course correction. You don't have to say, oh, my Shraddha means that I must continue and suffer and just bear the losses. No, not necessary. That's okay. But how many things, because of the lack of consistency, because of the mind getting distracted, because of life happening, that those paths or pursuits that you had conceived, well conceived, got sidelined. And that's what we want to examine. Because Shraddha is a powerful quality. Have you heard a phrase? And it's from the Bhagavad Gita, but we've also repeated it many times in the class. You are what your vasanas are. You are what your nature is. You've heard of this phrase? Okay, everyone's heard of it. We talk about swadharma. You are what your vasanas are. You must choose a field in line with your vasanas. So this we can understand. We give the example. A tiger will be fierce and ferocious. A tiger will not be vegetarian, even if there is no food. You will not find a vegan tiger anywhere in the world. Not in South India, not in California. No vegan tiger. Why? They cannot act apart from their nature. But a human being is different. Yes, in some portions it says you are what your vasanas are. It's true. But in chapter 17, verse 3, the Bhagavad Gita corrects this. A man is made up of his Shraddha, faith. He is verily what his Shraddha, faith is. It is saying, today, you are what your nature is. But in essence, as a human being, you have the ability to change your vasanas. You have the ability to change your nature. Now, you can't do it overnight. From dancing vasanas, you can't suddenly get into academic vasanas unless they are there. You can't change them overnight. It takes time, yes, but change is possible. In fact, that's why all of us are here. We are trying to refine our vasanas, change our vasanas, our nature. So, what is it that you actually are? It is the application of effort in the direction that you decide that's what you will be. So yes, you may have started out with a particular nature, but if you focus your attention in a different direction with consistent effort, day after day, action after action, you can change the momentum completely. Your present state is nothing but the resultant of everything you've done in the past, all your past thoughts, all your past choices, all your past actions. The resultant of all of that put together is what you are today. True? False? Any challenges? Yes. Right? We are today an effect of our past. But will we continue to be that? The present is already decided by the past. What about the future?
Depends on this moment.
Depends on this moment. It depends on two things though. It depends on that past backlog. So the past has got incredible momentum. And remember, it's got the momentum of perhaps a few decades. It's got the momentum of decades of thinking in a particular way. It's got the momentum of the people around you. All their thoughts that we may have subconsciously absorbed. So it's got some momentum. But in the present, we have the ability to just tap, redirect that momentum. Now you can't change all of that momentum in one present action. If there's a lot of it, you can only slightly redirect it. But if you are consistent, you can change that past backlog. You can negate it and then create and redirect to the direction that you want without any hindrance. Why? You've removed the past backlog. So therefore, what is important is not so much where you're coming from. Yes, that's a factor. But tell me your consistency. Do you have a consistency of purpose? Because that's what you will become. In India, the culture of getting married, selecting a suitable partner is highly valued. As there in other cultures too, but here the constant idea of how do I choose a partner? And it's built in. The moment a person is of an eligible age, the thought comes. If not from them, from the family members. And the thought is, how do you choose a suitable person? And often, the parents would look at the background of the young man, the background of the young woman to marry their son or daughter. And they would examine, or even the individual themselves, they would look at the nature of the person. What would be more effective is to look at not where they are, not what they've been through, but where are they going? What is the direction that they have set for themselves? What is their Shraddha? Because that's what they're going to be. So for us, let's make it practical. We might have fanciful goals. And for some of you, you might have got the idea of evolution, self-development. All of us here are striving towards that. A few might have said self-realization. This is the purpose of human existence. And we might say it. And we may know that it's a positive thing, it's a good thing, but inside, you go a little bit deeper. You scratch the surface. And your mind is saying, come on. This lifetime? No, I don't think so. I got too many desires. I've got too many impulses and emotions. No. You know, you know that it's something that you want, but the mind creates this doubt and you look at yourself and where you are at the moment and it just goes, it'd be nice if I get close, but not really. This is lack of Shraddha. You know the goal. It makes sense to you. Yes, it might be difficult, but this is the lifetime. And when you look at the opportunities that you have right now, you found a knowledge that talks about the subject. It's in a language that you understand, that you comprehend. You have the ability, the capacity to comprehend these ideas and thoughts. How rare is that? To be interested. It means you've understood that what you're seeking in the world will not give you absolute fulfillment. You've understood that. To reach that point in life, just in fact to be a human being itself is such a rarity. Infinitesimal probability. We've got human embodiment. We've got the teacher, the literature, and we've got the capacity and the desire to do it. Why not make it an actual goal? This lifetime, I will be the next Lord Buddha, Krishna, the next prophet, saint. Why not? Saint Sergio. It's got a nice ring to it. Why not? Vasu, the vicar of Johannesburg. Why not? Johann Nanda from Prague. Why not? And this is where Shraddha starts. It is conceiving a goal, not just that is fanciful, that is flighty, but it is something that you want to achieve. And Swamiji, the author of the books that we study, Swami Parthasarathi, he gives us a very helpful way to look at it. He says sometimes this goal of self-realization or the goals that we want to achieve seem so far away. We can't exactly see it. It's unknown. This is the faith path. But we know it's worthwhile pursuing. We know, at least from negation, nothing else is really going to give us what we're looking for. So what do? Where do we start? The saying is, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with
Single step.
a single step.
First step.
The first step,
step.
the next step, a single step. And similarly, Swamiji says, the way to more light is the faithful use of what you have. Right now, with my mind and intellect, what is the next step to take? And that one step, after another step, after another step, that is Shraddha. It is the ability to dedicate each moment, each step to the destination you are pursuing. So let's examine the different aspects of Shraddha. We mentioned the 3 C's. First C is
Conception.
conception. And what have we been covering? That when we set out a goal, begin with the end in mind. Conceive what that end looks like. What does, in your mind, and it might be refined later on, what does achievement of the goal look like? So for some, they give a vague goal like financial freedom. I say, okay, let's make it tangible. What does that look like, financial freedom? Your ideal life, a life without any burden. For some, it's living debt-free. Okay, what does that look like? Conceive it. Begin with the end in mind. What does self-realization look like? Okay, this is where I am at the moment. What does self-realized version of me, what does the best version of me look like? And there's another one that's useful, which is begin as you mean to continue. So it's about getting the pace right. So sometimes we go too hot in the beginning and we cool off because we've gone past our capacity. But it's about figuring out what is my capacity that I can do this day in, day out. That I can make this a part of my day, a part of my life so that it has the regularity. Now, if you push, suppose this class was 2 hours and, hour and 15 minutes into the class, you start feeling heavy. Then you're not going to be encouraged by the next session. So you've got to figure out what is the right time of study for you, where you can do it day in, day out. Will it work if you put all your effort in once a week? Once a week, I will pursue my goal. Where is the Shraddha? What can you achieve in once a week? This class is meant to inspire us with a couple of ideas to keep us motivated in the path that we're already on, or to conceive that path and make the refinements in our self-development. But if you're relying on this class alone, this 1 hour in the week to be your self-development, it's not enough. Why? Because of all the backlog of other thoughts that are consuming your bandwidth. What effect will 1 hour have? It will have some effect, yes, but if we're going to make that change, if we're going to make information into transformation, it's got to be consistent. And you've got to find out what is the right amount of time to keep that consistency going daily. Conception. Conception also falls into continuation. And continuation into completion also has a different phase to it. And the Bhagavad Gita has dedicated a whole chapter to Shraddha. And I've made a note of it that during our Sunday Wisdom sessions, I'm not sure when we'll take it up. I've got a couple in mind. I'd like to do the personality chart with our group. I'd like to take up The ladder of fall, beautiful section from chapter 2. But one of the sections is this chapter 17, the different types of Shraddha, faith. And in this chapter, it categorizes Shraddha in the 3 grades of sattvik, rajasic, tamasic. So A grade, B grade, C grade, but it gives categories of Shraddha. So when you put these categories together, so it's the different compartments of faith, like how we said conception, continuation, completion, you can put these 4 into the 3 C's. And the 4 are, the first one being your food. Ahara. Ahara means food. Yajna, sacrifice. Your action dedicated to the goal that you're pursuing. Tapa, which is austerity. And dhanam or dana is gift. These 4 aspects fit beautifully into conception, continuation, completion. So we'll begin with the first one. What does food have to do with the quality of your faith, the quality of your Shraddha? Anybody?
Well, you are what you eat. That's what they say.
You are what you eat. Okay. If you eat a donut, you become round.
Body, healthy mind.
Healthy body, healthy mind. Yes.
Does it refer to the stimuli that we receive?
It does. In what way though?
All the inputs that go into us,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're sensory, basically the sensory inputs, also emotions.
It is that. It's starting with, if you are sincere about your goal. So now we're conceptualizing the goal. Say, I want this goal. I've thought about it. And it makes sense. This is what I want to do with my life. So if you are sincere about your goal, and Swamiji calls this the paradigm shift, you start looking at all the different aspects of your life and how can I make it conducive to achieving the goal that I want? And here it's given one aspect to represent all aspects, and it's given food. What do I eat? Is the food that I'm consuming, the inputs that I'm taking into my personality, are they conducive for my path? So for instance, if you have a heavy meal, can you study after a heavy meal? If you have an intoxicant that takes away the clarity of your thinking, how is it helping you achieve your goal? So here it's about understanding, and it explains. It says food that is nutritious, that increases longevity. This is sattvik food, is sattvik Shraddha. So we need to start looking at the different aspects of our life and seeing if the food, the music, the people, all of those are supporting the goal that we want to achieve. Another word for it in general is called satsang. Satsang. Sang means company, sat means truth. It means that which supports you in the pursuit of your truth. So what kind of company are you keeping? Are they taking you towards sat or untruth, asat? Let us look at all these different aspects, starting with food, yes, but also the clothes that we wear, the music that we listen to, the books that we read. Are they taking us towards our goal? The second aspect is yajna. Yajna means sacrifice, means are you dedicating all your actions that are required to the goal that you want? So it could be a business goal. Yes. Are all your actions supporting the business? Or are some of the actions taking away from the business to support personal luxuries? There's a mismatch. There is a conflict there. What is your goal? When Swami Parthasarathi was building the Vedanta Academy and the trust, there would be times where he would not know. He's traveling overseas, he's being hosted, he's put up in a hotel, but he's not sure. Now, when he orders lunch, who's going to pay the bill? And he's looking at every dollar going towards the academy. He was in the US at the time. Every dollar going towards the academy to build the school because he was fueled by that goal. And he wasn't sure now who's going, because it wasn't mentioned. And he says he went to the supermarket, bought a packet of peanuts, and had that for his meals. And the idea there is, that's the sacrifice. In the sense that you don't feel it because it's what's necessary for the goal that you've decided. For Avanya and myself, we tour and we travel to share this knowledge around the world. We'll be seeing, I think, every one of you over the course of this year. But when we go, people ask, do you want to go and see this waterfall? Do you want to go to this place? Do you want to go to this restaurant? And we're like, no, we're okay, thank you. Because if we're not doing that, doing other aspects, sightseeing, naturally all the other aspects which go to visiting a new place, that is energy away from what we've come there to do, which is what? Share knowledge with people, interact with people there. So if you say a person wants to meet you, no problem. I'll put my energy there. A person says that you should go for a day to the Jesus Christ statue in Rio de Janeiro. It's okay. Because my energy is getting used there. And that's the sacrifice. It's putting all your efforts towards the goal that you want. Now, you don't feel frustrated because it's what you want. And that's important. But do we have that clarity? Or does our mind go, I want everything to do with this region. I want to try the foods. I want to go and see the sights. Not realizing that that is taking you away from the goal you could be pursuing. If it is your goal to experience the sights, sounds, and smells of a place, why not? If it's not your goal, conserve the energy. And that's where the austerity comes in. So austerity is making sure that your whole personality is aligned. Your body, your mind, it even goes so far to say your speech. Austerity of speech. What do you say? Is it useful? Can you imagine? I'm asking the group here. If you were to live by Socrates' triple filter, before you say anything, is it good? Is it true? Is it useful? Now imagine before you said something, you went through this checklist. Oh, I really want to tell you something. I have some very juicy information. Is it true? Not sure. Is it good? No. It's scandalous. Is it useful? It's entertaining. Imagine how little we would speak. But that is energy conserved. So when you do it at all levels of your personality, this is austerity, tapaha. So tapaha is austerity. It's conserving your energy that can be redirected not in wasteful, unproductive channels, but into productive channels. Now, rest is a productive channel because it gives you the energy for what you need to do. But when you use that rest for an unproductive activity, where you may injure yourself, where you may tire yourself, then it's taking away from your goal. And the last aspect, and this one, it requires a bit of application to see how it's applicable to Shraddha. It is dhanam. And dhanam means gift, giving. Why? Why give? How does it take you to your goal? These four aspects, food, ahara. So ahara, we said all the stimuli, okay? That must be conducive to the achievement of your goal. Yes, we've got to do the required actions. That's yajna. We've got to sacrifice for our goal. Put all the actions towards the goal. Austerity. Make sure our energy doesn't get used up in unproductive channels. But then gift? Giving? How is that connected?
Seva.
Seva, yes. Why seva? Seva means service. Why service?
Showing gratitude.
Showing gratitude, yes.
It gives you pleasure.
It gives you pleasure, okay. It does.
Reduces your ego.
Yes, it reduces your ego. Yes, that is it. Purpose? Higher purpose? Mm-hmm. The reason is,
Extra.
sorry, Dana?
You have to give no matter what you want to take.
Yes. So these are useful ethics. These are useful principles to live our life. But the reason why dhanam or giving is used in this context is because imagine having this laser focus in what you do. There's no nonsense. Whatever you put your mind to do, you'll be outstanding. You'll be the Steph Curry of basketball, the Michael Jordan of basketball. You would be outstanding in whatever field you take up. The Djokovic of tennis. You would be outstanding in that particular field. Why? Because you are practicing every single stimulus. You are checking if it's taking you towards your goal, aharam. Then you're also checking your activities, all activities, from what you put in to what you do. Your training is for that goal. Austerity, not wasting it on things that don't take you towards your goal. So what will happen is, you will become anybody?
Focused.
You become focused. What does the focus bring? It will bring
Wisdom.
success. It will bring prosperity. It will bring fame. It will bring all these other trappings. And if you are not careful, you will lose yourself in the trappings. You will lose yourself in the fame, in the wealth, in the success. And that which you are pursuing, the goal that you had in mind, you lose sight of. But when you give, it keeps you humble. It ensures that you don't get involved in any of these trappings. You keep on making it about the service, about the goal. You distribute the wealth. You do not allocate or hoard that fame. You attribute the fame to those around you as well. Your success, you credit it to the principles, not to your personality. This is giving. This is dhanam. And when you do that, it ensures that whatever comes along with your effort, all the incidental benefits that come along. You don't allow it to jeopardize the goal that you're working for. It is my goal, that is when I complete it. And all these other things may make a wonderful, beautiful life, but I am fixed on the goal. You can enjoy them, but don't get involved in them. Share them. Distribute them. Stay focused. And that is why the last quality that we'll take up next week is regarding me, self-realization as supreme. Do not compromise until you reach your goal. From conception, then having the self-control, the self-restraint, the consistency of purpose for continuation, and not getting involved, not getting caught up in all the incidental benefits that come along with your effort to actually achieve your goal. This is Shraddha, having faith. So let us examine our goals and ask ourselves, firstly, do I consider my goal as sacred? Do I consider my goal as something mighty, something glorious that I want to achieve? If you're not convinced about your goal, you will not have consistency of purpose. So we need to take that time on conception. Then the continuation, the consistency of purpose. And that's why that morning daily study is so important, because it constantly reaffirms your goal and strengthens your intellect to keep you on the path that you've decided. Consistency of purpose. But then also to make sure that we don't compromise with the obstacles that may come, but also the rewards that may come, until we realize that which we started off to pursue. Shraddha is the conception of the ultimate, but the consistency of purpose to take you from the beginning right till realization of the end. What a quality. Now, time for your questions. Okay, so there's a question in...
Could I ask you
Sure.
a question about the ahar?
Yes.
Because the big, push about protein and versus just eating vegetarian and sattvik food. What do you think about that?
If you are a sports person, if you're an athlete, there is a requirement for higher levels of protein in your diet, and you can get protein from different sources. So it need not be non-vegetarian, if that is your question. So we find, well, at least with information that is available, one aspect is Netflix's Game Changers, how it shows that even elite athletes need not have animal protein necessarily. So you can have protein, but you can have protein in a way that does not compromise your ethics or inflict harm on another being. So there is no need to change. You use what is required to achieve your path. So if you're an athlete, yes, you need higher amounts of protein. What is the right amount of protein? How can I get it from sources that I'm comfortable with? So when you have this clarity, it becomes very straightforward. Is that okay, Sangeeta?
Oh, and yes, I just the big struggle between if you are on this path, what you should be just having sattvik food, and I just wanted your take on that. If you are on a spiritual path, should you be a vegetarian or a vegan? because I know ahar is a big part of when you're on this journey.
Sure. So, in fact, in the verse discussing sattvik food, it actually does not talk about vegetarian or non-vegetarian. So, it's food that is nutritious, food that produces longevity. And in different contexts, in different parts of the world, you may have to consume based on what's available. But the idea is, if there is an alternative, if there is an option, why not do something that has less harm? One aspect of why a vegetarian diet, or why we see it as helpful for the spiritual path, is that certain foods, certain stimuli produce certain reactions in our personality. So, for instance, music is a very apparent one. If I play heavy metal at the beginning of the class, it changes the frequency of our mind. If I play classical music, whether it's Western classical or Indian classical, it has a different nature. I used to do this in classrooms when I used to teach MBA students. I would do it as an experiment. But the stimuli can have an effect on our mental temperament. So this is what we're doing. So the same thing with food. When there is a consumption of meat, it makes us more extroverted. When there is a consumption of a vegetarian diet, more introvert. So we find even amongst the carnivores and herbivores, the carnivores are more prone to fright, are more prone to being vigilant, alert. Herbivores, calmer. You look at the buffalo, the elephant. Interestingly, the most difficult animals to tame are carnivores. The easiest animals to tame, herbivores. How is that so? So, because of the diet, it renders one more peaceful. So, for one trying to manage this mind, a vegetarian diet makes the mind a little bit easier to manage and direct. So, this is the reason why it is conducive for the spiritual path. So the first aspect is, if I can live with less harm, because I understand that the self within me is pervading throughout the world, how can I do as little harm as possible to the world? And then the second aspect is that it is more conducive for the controlling of the mind. But it is not given as a do or a don't, at least in Vedanta scripture. It is helpful. Yes, Shanti.
I also find that on this journey that I'm on, which is very similar to what we're discussing today, there are toxic people that come along your path, and they can bring your energy. I think overpower your energy sometimes, and it's draining. So I think also the people that you surround yourself with is important.
Definitely, Shanti. And where you can choose, why be poisoned? So you're saying there's poison out there. There's so much poison out there. Who's asking you to drink it? So similarly, there may be people that are negative in nature. Choose positive people. Sometimes we may not be able to avoid such people. They are there in the workplace. They might be there in the airport. We understand that the world is an admixture. Where we do have control over it, great. Where we don't, a little bit of the tiksha. The tiksha is a quality which says, putting up with inconvenience with pleasure. Say, okay, all right, I'm with some negative people at the moment. This is an opportunity for me to practice my self-control, my objectivity. I will be here because I have to be here. Maybe it's a obligatory family event, but I will not get negative. I will not get frustrated. I will try. This is an opportunity for me, a test. So you can look at it different ways. But if you are becoming intolerant of negativity, then you are giving it more value than it needs to. Remember, you put the value there. So it's not poisonous until you drink it. So if you get involved in the negativity, that's when it affects you. And the stronger we become by development of our intellect, we might even be able to change that environment. See, you can become a fragrance, something positive, and even change the negative, negate it. But until then, yes, choose the conducive, choose that which supports your growth, and where you cannot, do not become intolerant. Work out ways where you can maintain your equanimity during that short time where you have no choice. It could be during traffic, it could be when you're traveling, it could be at a family event. Prepare yourself beforehand. Okay, there's a question on the group. Where do you think the idea of being afraid to be successful comes from? Because that ultimately self-love at the highest level. Why are we afraid of success? There could be different reasons why one is afraid of success. And part of it is not knowing what to do once you've achieved your goal. So one can conceive a particular goal. And then when the goal is in sight, we become doubtful, we become fearful because we're not sure what to do after that. Because we've tied our identity into that success. So having got it now, what are you about? What are you doing? What is your purpose now that you've achieved it? So a lot of doubt comes when we've tied a whole our identity to the achievement of something. And then when you achieve it, why this fear is because that identity or that ego is threatened. Because it asks yourself, now what? I'm something that I did in the past. I'm going to hold on to that identity going forward. This could be one reason. There could be many other reasons. I'm giving you one with the context you've given. Self-love at the highest is loving the real and permanent aspect of you, which is the Godhood within. When you love that, you need nothing external to feel loved or to give love. That is the highest. You're full. You're complete. You don't lack anything. So when you go into an experience or a relationship, you don't go as a beggar. This is self-love at the highest. And self-love at the highest means that you love all at the maximum. Why? Because you're so secure in the love that you have, because it's permanent, that you can give and not feel diminished. And next question. To become, we have to overcome obstacles, obstructions, limitations, and negative beliefs. Can the intellect alone be sufficient to win this war? Theoretically, the intellect alone is enough. Practically, when you have the support of your mind, in this goal, so much easier. But for that, you must, as we mentioned, in the conception stage, you must be in love with your goal. You must be inspired by your goal. So just the mere remembrance of the goal, the picture of the end, must want to inspire you to overcome the obstacle, obstruction, limitation, and negative belief. Because what you're pursuing is so valuable, is of such a high priority, that it's worth everything. But the mind feels it. The intellect perseveres. But if you have the mind's cooperation, so much easier. Otherwise, the maximum resistance is our own mind, doubting and fearing. So take some time to choose the goal. Let that goal resonate both with your mind and intellect. And as this quality that we discussed today, Shraddha, it's a confluence. The mind believes with certainty, like that bird that feels the light and sings while the dawn is still dark. And the intellect is consistent, never compromises, never deviates. Anything is yours. Everything is yours. Thank you, everybody. We see you next week for the last quality of the 35 qualities, and then we move on to studying the fall of the human intellect. Hari Om.